Welcome back. One final point before we go tonight. I can't make it to Washington, D.C. for the March for Life this year. I wish I could. So instead, I'd like to share with you, whether you're pro-life or whether you're pro-choice, I'd like to share with you why I march. Whether I'm there at the incredible march in person or whether I'm here fighting for the protection of life on my show every single night. It is poverty to decide that a child must die so that you may live as you wish. That was a quote from Mother Teresa, whom I was named after. My middle name is Teresa. I march for this baby boy who was dissected and sold with perfectly formed hands and feet. See those tiny fingers and toes? You know what's sad? We will never know who he was, what he was like, or what he would have grown up, what he would have been like when he grew up. I march for the women who suffer silently from anxiety, depression, guilt, and suicidal thoughts after suffering an abortion, but they feel like nobody hears their screams because the abortion lobby tells them that they aren't feeling what they're feeling. I march for the 59 million babies killed by abortion in our country since 1973. Did you know that if you put white crosses in a row, one after the other, one for every baby aborted in America since Roe v. Wade, that line of white crosses would stretch 11,174 miles. That's across the whole United States, back and forth, 4.5 times. I march because even Hillary Clinton, who refused to condemn late-term abortion, even Hillary Clinton admits that unborn babies are human beings.
The unborn person doesn't have constitutional rights.
At least she got half of that right. I march because it's not just about religion, it's not about faith, it's about science, it's about fact. And science says life begins at conception. I march because 41 medical textbooks and medical experts say that a new human life is formed the moment of conception. The life cycle of mammals begins when a sperm enters an egg. That's from a biology textbook on Nature. Human life begins at fertilization. That's from the textbook Developing Human Clinically Oriented Embryology. Fertilization being the process during which a sperm unites with an ovum to form a single cell called a zygote. A zygote is the beginning of a new human being. Another embryology textbook called Patton's Human Embryology says it is the penetration of the ovum by a sperm and the resulting mingling of nuclear material each brings to the union that constitutes the initiation of the life of a new individual. Even the United States government acknowledges the scientific veracity that life does begin at conception, and not at viability, not at birth, and certainly not when we feel like it begins, as progressive feminist Melissa Harris Perry would have us believe. Fertilization, says our government's National Institutes of Health, fertilization is the process of union of two gametes, whereby the somatic chromosome number is restored and the development of a new individual is initiated. I march because the science is clear. Life begins at conception. The moment a sperm fuses with an egg, that's the moment new life is formed. Therefore, either the value of life also begins at conception, or we're entering a dangerous realm where our government decides whose lives matter and whose lives do not deserve protection. I march because you can't pretend to be personally pro-life while still politically supporting abortion. You just can't. You can't have it both ways. Either it is a life or it is not a life. Either you support bodily autonomy for all women, including the unborn women, or you don't. Either you support choice and freedom or you support abortion. I march because even Planned Parenthood, the largest abortion provider in our country, who commits over 300,000 abortions every single year, even Planned Parenthood themselves admitted all the way back in 1952 that abortion kills the life of a baby. They don't argue that the unborn life is not a life. They simply don't care that their business is built around extinguishing as many of these lives as they possibly can. I march because liberals hurl false arguments about trusting women to make the right decisions for themselves, but this isn't about trusting women. This is about the unborn men and unborn women brutally ripped from their mother's wombs who will never have the choice to make a choice for themselves. I march because every man, every woman, and every child is made in the image of Christ. Every person has dignity. Every person, no matter how small, has the right to life, to liberty, and to the pursuit of happiness. Every person deserves a champion to be their voice when they're oppressed. A wise man once said, "The true measure of any society can be found in how it treats its most vulnerable members." And I would add to that by saying a society that can't stand up for the most vulnerable among us, our unborn babies, that is a sorry place indeed. I march because my mom chose life. When I wasn't protected by law, my mom chose life. That's why I'm here in front of you today. That's why I live. That's why I march. And that's my final point. You can reach me on Twitter at Liz_Wheeler. If you like the show, please send me an email at oann.com/contact. In the meantime, catch us here tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern. And until then, have a good night.